Hi friends, let's take a look at Tezos. We've got Tezos Bitcoin up behind me. That's where we'll start in today's episode, and we will just then run through things real quick, see how things are shaping up. It's obviously a shitty day in paradise, as we know. Let's just take a look at what's been going on. Okay, here we are starting off. There's quite a few obvious things that we could be talking about in terms of this. I don't know what could we call this? Is this some this? I want to say some sort of like gallows construction that we've got up there, up above. This would be the rope, and we could draw wee man down here as a hangman. But what we're actually going to start at is looking at this here now. This is the DMI. I'm not going to explain how you use this thing in this video, and that could be in some other video, or maybe if I make a course at some point or something like that, I could go through these things. But essentially, looking at the red line being the ADX, you don't need to even care what that means. That's just going to be our sort of our indicator line, and then you've got the blue line here, which is the positive, and the orange line, which is the negative. Okay, so the orange line has gone above the blue line, so we know just from general speaking that that's not good. But this has happened while the ADX is above the sort of the 25 area, and the orange line is crossed above the ADX. So the sort of a more ideal shape would it be like down here, where you can see them all being drawn into each other a bit more beforehand, and then crossing around and whatnot, and then the ADX coming from here and trending up the way. But that was actually fairly low over there. Over here, though, what we're looking at is essentially that for the first time in quite a wee while, since back over here at the start of January, really at the turn of the year, we've since over here, you know, when the prices had been going down and it changed around to be an up way, this is now kind of changed around to being sort of down the way. Let's see how it pans out though. Now we also had this symmetrical triangle over here, and we said that, you know, you could get a measured move looking like any of that, but we've been saying quite specifically that we didn't expect to get the full guts of that measured move, and if it did come down, be looking towards this sort of this line here. Well, we never made it quite as far as that. Could we continue to go down here and make it towards this area? Yeah, I'm not financial advisor, I'm not financial advice, but I would bear that in mind. And of course, we could even go on as far as down towards this Cyan line here and actually do this sort of full measured move overall over the period of the next few days. It could happen, so look out for that. Of course, the prices could also have just, you know, shaken everybody it needed to shake out of the market out, and trend could turn around. Maybe perhaps if the dollar price of this recovers quicker than the dollar price of Bitcoin or whatever, you could see things going back up, for instance, with the sort of relative disproportionate change that it would inflict. But you can see as well, we came down here to these moving averages, got caught by them. What am I looking at in terms of the price as well? Like I said, there's 2,440 to the downside, and then my initial profit taking target to the upside. If I were trading in this range, this is chop, this is violence, and an area where you would normally consider it to be potentially quite a potential no trade zone until things have shaped themselves out a little bit more. But you know, that my first one to the upside would be 2,800, and of course 2,400 to the downside. Should the prices actually manage to open and close above 2,800, then I'd look to retest this diagonal trend line here at 3,000. Oakley dokley, and of course likewise, like I just said before as well, if it go below 2,400, you could look down to that sort of 2,150 level. Let's check out the disparity between the exchanges as we always do. HitBTC $1.54, the other one $1.53, 155, 154. Well, the HitBTC seems to have been leading the way there for that one, showing us over the last wee while that that just wasn't able to catch up. Now HitBTC has got all the trade-in price history. You can see, in fact, this beautiful come down here and kissed off of the simple moving average. I use the 233 currently for that. It's come down here and touched that perfectly, and it broke down below all of our sort of supports that we had in mind here on the HitBTC chart. So this is where we were doing up until yesterday or the day before the video. We talk about this as being where we would do the positive type scenarios, but in yesterday's one we kind of flipped, talking about it as being negative here and saying, you know, drop below that $2.28 area and we're looking to downside. I didn't expect it to go as far as this, I'll be perfectly honest with there, but this is what we're looking at now. So this is where we've come to, and yeah, the exchange, the price difference between the exchanges has ameliorated. Now, could it have been the case that, simply put, people people were wanting to sell their Tezos to folk and offload some, and that the HitBTC people were sort of less enthusiastic on the upside is what you have on the Coinbase market. Maybe there was a bit more experience over there or something that led to it. Who knows? I absolutely would enjoy speculating about it with you if you want to put some stuff in the comments though, and tell me what you think's been going on with that price difference overall and how it's shaped out given that the prices have dropped down so much. Let's go over to the Coinbase place now. This is where we would have previously been talking about how we were doing our negative chat, and yesterday we were saying we used this for the more positive one, and we were saying, look, if we come down as far as 50%, if we manage to stay above this $2.32, then you could reasonably maybe look towards $2.70 and above, and try and come back up and retest this 236 at $3.20 and whatnot, and go on for our all-time highs and all that la-di-da-da over here on Coinbase. But in fact, actually, you know, we've come down here to the 618 past the whole golden zone, which is sort of the most common, I suppose, retrace area for people looking at this sort of thing, the Fibonacci retracements and whatnot, past this Cyan exponential moving average as well, actually, and we've come right down as far as the 786. Now, currently looking at this, would I expect it to actually manage to go all the way down and achieve that at $1.40 or so? Yeah, I can absolutely see that happening, and if that were to happen, could we retrace even further, perhaps even 100% of the way down? Yes, we could. This is also a common area for the retracement as well, 786 being the square root of 618. So there's the maths for that for you if you're interested. But generally speaking, things have been looking really quite rubbish for this asset overall. We need to we're looking for a turnaround at some point. What are the silver linings or anything? Have we got any in terms of anything overall here? Not really. Again, look to the DMI, and you can see that we've got this downward trend, a sort of expanding downward trend there, and there's no divergence we're talking of. Now, you could potentially look to the future and think that maybe we'll get some sort of a bit of bullish divergence appearing here. I decrease the smoothness when looking at Bitcoin, so you can see here that we've still not finished setting in that. If I go back to 6, which is what I usually use, I'm putting back to 3 now, just so you can see that while this looks more like we could have maybe come to an area where it's turning around or whatever, that actually you know, if we do what I usually do, you can see, you know, we've not ticked around yet at all, and I don't anticipate us ticking around here necessarily straight away, but I would look out for that, and you can maybe have some sort of vague hope there of getting some classic bullish divergence on the go if that were to turn around and go towards the upside. But hey, that would be speculative, and you're speculating on a speculative thing in the first place, and these charts are not predictive in and of themselves, therefore that would be silly, so I wouldn't do that. And you can look towards the RSI and see that there isn't any of that divergence, and in fact it's just continuing on the way down, and so same with the MACD. But you know, has it just done it there now? Has it gone down? No. Right, are we going to happen? Maybe this is going to happen during filming, I can't tell. It seems to, it's obviously a bit of volatility in the market. We might hit that 786 and then see a bit of a retrace. It could obviously happen from right here, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we went some ways below here. We could draw some horizontal lines on here to try and find out where the next ports of calls would be, but I think that it's fair enough to say that anywhere right the way down here, there's quite a lot of different potential support areas, and we're not going to choose any particular one necessarily. But if you put a gun to my head and you made me, then I would kind of just look towards where we had this here before and this here before, and just kind of put it right through here and say, look, this area really, you can see it was kind of resistant, kind of then support and whatnot, then support again and whatever else. So $1.20 would be kind of, if I were shorting it from right now, would be looking to take, but I wouldn't do that. In fact, I'm not going to give any financial advice anyway in this episode. Kind of really covered everything that we need to cover already. Having started off here by looking at this versus Bitcoin, going over to look at the other price targets. Now, of course, in terms of upward side price targets, if we do start getting some upward movement, then we can look towards certain areas like where this Cyan line's coming in at just there, in and around here. You can see potentially we had some sort of something. We could maybe look towards that as being an upward side target of 166 or something, and maybe trade between there. Look for closes, opens and closes above that, and maybe we can start to see the prices going back up. Who knows? Things can go up as quickly as they come down though as well. Things can continue to go on down even further. We'll have to wait and see how things pan out over the next wee while. Thanks so much for tuning in and taking part in this episode. You can see as well over here how differently the DMI has been working across the different exchanges. Actually, before we leave off here, you can see over here in HitBTC that this big arc here at the top as we come down, the price is just joining along there, and you go over to a different exchange and it's already crossed over the ADX. You go to another exchange and it's looking different again slightly, and again slightly different there, but generally speaking that the HitBTC prices have kind of taken a long time to end this sort of consolidation, sort of topping formation here, and then to drop down. You could suppose then we can look back at this if we want to sort of do retrospective technical analysis, and we can say maybe this is some sort of descending triangle thing, and maybe then we have a measured move over here, and how does this look in comparison to where we are? Well, you know, you've got that sort of a thing on the go. Maybe that's what's happened overall, and maybe then you could say this will be our silver lining to sort of wrap up the episode and say, well, this is as far as we were ever going to go. It's time to get bullish on this bitch. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time, and maybe it is. I'm not a financial advisor. I know this financial advice, but I would wait just a little bit anyway. I would wait just a little bit just to see how things are panning out. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.